February 11th, 2021, the Social Circle Board of Education is called to order. First item on our agenda is prayer. Those who would like, please stand as we pray the Lord's Prayer together. Remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. Stand for the pledge of allegiance. Thank you. Next, we have approval of our agenda. Dr. Hooker, are there any revisions? Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have the minutes from our last board meeting. These were sent before the meeting, so we had a chance to preview those. I have a motion to approve those minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have our board comment section, and I'll start by thanking you for coming. Taking time out of your busy evening to be with us, and you're always welcome here. We really appreciate you being here. And second Thursday of every month. I wish we could have all these seats full every meeting. But I really appreciate you being here. We're proud to once again be celebrating Black History Month in Circle City Schools. That's going on all of our campuses. We're in the middle of that now. And I'm sure that our principals and our superintendent will give you a few more details about that as the meeting progresses. One thing I want to refer you to was there's I believe it's a monthly column that Dr. Hooker writes for the Walton Tribune, Stephen. And he did have comments on Black History Month. He mentioned Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He mentioned a couple of gentlemen who have social circle roots who are pioneers. Bobby Howard pioneered the Civil Rights Movement. And then Alonzo Herndon, who I think founded Atlanta Life Insurance Company. So, and they have social circle roots. So we're proud of those contributions. And we look forward to hearing what else we're celebrating that as the meeting progresses. The next thing, we're going to celebrate a few things today. A couple of meetings ago, I mentioned that the governance team here was recognized by the Georgia School Board Association with a Leading Edge Award, and it was for our 5-year strategic plan that we put together. And that was a well-deserved recognition for everybody who worked on it. And that was one big thing we worked on recently. The other really big thing we worked on recently was a plan to go back to school from COVID-19. As you know, the last year, toward the end of the year, last third year really, we couldn't come to school face-to-face. So during that time, and before school started this year, we had lots of people work lots of hours to put together a plan so that we could safely return to school. And I'm proud to tell you that all that work has been very successful and has been recognized. Let me find my notes here. The Georgia School Public Relations Association presented our system with a gold award for a special purpose publication, and it's the Return to School Playbook that came out. And I want to recognize all those individuals who worked on it, and I'll especially call attention to all the district staff members, Dr. Brewer and Ms. Lori Allison, Colonel Chick, and of course all the principals and their return to school committee members. So we're honored that we're honored. But it's well deserved. Those are the two big projects we worked on, and both have received statewide recognition. So I think our staff should be very proud of yourselves for that. And we always like the recognition like that. All right. Next, I wanted to recognize our school counselors. I think the first week in February was National School Counselors Week. And of course, we didn't have a school board meeting that week, but we can certainly honor them tonight. I wanted to recognize them by name. We have Geneva Bug for primary and elementary school counselor. We have Tammy Lumpkin for middle school, and Mike Polk for high school. And one of the things that Social Circle is very proud of is our graduation rate. And let me tell you, these counselors are incredibly important to keep our students on track, starting early and all the way through high school, to make sure they stay on track and do graduate. And we're proud to lead the county in graduation rate and be one of the state leaders in graduation rate. And a lot of that is due to a lot of people, but tonight we're recognizing the counselors for their contribution to that and many other things. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Appreciate what you do. All right, moving right along with recognitions. We were fortunate this year. Fortunate maybe not the right word. We worked hard and earned a state playoff berth. Our football team did for the first time in 11 years. And when you do things like that, many times individual efforts from players on the team are recognized. And I wanted to turn this part of the, we did have some Region 8A players named. So I wanted to turn it over to our coach, Coach Patton, to tell us all about that.
Good evening. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you to Mr. Callahan and Dr. Booker and the entire Board of Education. You know, with the success we had this year, you know, it takes players to have a team, but it takes an entire community to create a football program. We're turning out that same kind of success year after year. And thank you for your support and the resources you provide for our program and our kids. But tonight, you know, we want to honor the kids that really did a great job on the field this year. You know, they overcame a lot of adversity, you know, through the summer and the reduced practice schedule and, you know, a new coaching staff. And what we asked of them, and these guys really stood out as leaders on the field, leaders in our program. So I want to start out with, you know, how the process works for selection in the region of for the all-region team is it's voted on by all the head coaches in the region. And so the region that we played in was by far the toughest and most competitive region in the entire state. And so out of the, you know, 3 of the teams from our region made it to the final 8 of the state playoffs. That was only classification in any level in the entire state that could happen. So we were playing top-notch talent. And our kids were out there competing. And if you saw throughout the year, getting better throughout the year and going head-to-head with them. Really proud of these guys. So I want to start out with our quarterback for his first team all-region, sophomore Logan Cross. Come on up, Logan. He led the entire state in passing yardage, led Walton County in all classifications in passing yardage. He had 195 completions on 340 attempts, over 2,000 yards passing, and 19 touchdowns. He did a great job leading our team. Next up, we've got Eric Taylor. Eric's a senior. He was elected by his teammates as captain. Did a phenomenal job, not just on the field, but also leading our team. Eric was selected all-region as a wide receiver. He had 42 catches, leading the team in receptions, 520 yards, and he also led our team with 6 touchdown receptions. He served as a punt returner, kick returner, defensive back. He had 30 tackles, 3 interceptions, 8 pass breakups, and also just recently received a scholarship offer at Erskine College. And so he's being rewarded for all the hard work he's put in. Really proud of him. Next up, we got sophomore defensive back Mason Moore. So Mason did an incredible job. Another guy that hardly ever came off the field, also played receiver, but on defense, leading our secondary, he had 76 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, and also 3 pass breakups. Served as a long snapper. Just an incredible kid, an incredible worker. I'm really looking forward to see what he does. Two more that weren't able to make it tonight, but also want to recognize what their accomplishments were. We got wide receiver KJ Reed, who's a junior, also a standout leader on our basketball team. You know, KJ had 40 catches for 561 yards and 5 touchdowns. Also played all the time on defensive cornerback, and he was selected as a first-team All-Region member. And then also Tucker Clear. So Tucker had 127 tackles from the inside linebacker spot, 2 interceptions, 4 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups, and 2 sacks, and actually led the region in individual tackles as well. So it was a great job by all these guys. All these guys will tell you, you know, these guys were the ones that were the cream of the crop that stood out on the field, but they'd be very appreciative. You know, football's a team sport, the hard work their teammates put in, the sacrifices they made, so that the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, you know, the linebackers can go out there and make the plays. But love you guys and proud of you. Looking forward to the future. Just as an update moving forward, you know, our motto this year was to set the standard. These guys did a great job of setting a new standard of excellence. From now on, the playoffs is the expectation. And our motto going forward for 2021 is to raise the standard, because now we want to take this thing even further. So we'll kick off spring ball in May. You know, you can see Eric's got a soccer uniform. We got a lot of guys doing other sports. Both these guys on the basketball team, baseball team. We got soccer team. Tucker's on the wrestling team. So we'll wait till the spring sports conclude, and we'll kick off in May. And on May 21st, we've got a doubleheader spring scrimmage. Our middle school will play at 5:30 versus LCA, and our varsity will play LCA ball in that at home. So hope to see you guys out there, and thank everyone for their support.
Thank you, Coach Patton. Thank you, student athletes. You know, the really good thing here is I think if I count right, about 80% of those gentlemen are coming back next year. So, we are going to raise that standard. All right, next on our agenda we have special recognition. I'll turn that over to Dr.
At this time, I will ask Ms. Favors to introduce her student.
Good evening, everyone. I feel like I have my back turned. Let me see if I can put it sideways. Okay, yes, we do have some great things going on at the primary school. Just wanted to share with you a couple of events that's going on. For Black History Month, our teachers are, each week, they are teaching students about famous Black Americans. The first week, we started off with literature books. We had leaders from our central office staff to read books for our students, and that was awesome. They did this via Zoom. And we also, the second week, the teachers have been teaching the students about different quotes, facts, different contributions, as well as just how they can become good at whatever they do. And then for the third and fourth week, the students are going to be working on a project so that the last week they will be able to share, it's like a culminating activity that they will do to share what they have done. And also, in celebration of Kindness Month, the teachers and students at Social Circle Primary School have shown random acts of kindness, just within the school and also in the community. Today I delivered bags of precious Valentine's card to give to the residents of Social Circle Nursing and Rehabilitation Facility. We hope to put a smile on their faces. Next, I am happy to recognize Anna Blake. Anna is our star student this month, and Anna is a second grader. She's in Mrs. Spiner's classroom, and she has been a part of our school since pre-K. She is very deserving of this recognition, and she models positive interactions daily with her peers. And Mrs. Spiner's had this to say about sweet Anna. She is a shining star daily. I cannot say enough about how amazing this child is. She is always on task, making good choices, and encouraging others to do the same. I'm very proud of the initiative Anna took during our virtual learning the last few weeks. She joined every Zoom and was an active participant during these digital learning days. We're so proud of you, Anna. Keep shining brightly. So at this time, please, let's give her a round of applause for her hard work as she comes forward to receive her certificate.
Thank you, Ms. Favors. At this time, Dr. Harlow will come and recognize you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start by just telling you some stuff that's going on at the elementary school. We, too, are celebrating Black History Month, and we're doing a lot of activities on the announcements and trivia, and the students are really getting involved in that. The classrooms are having to do some research and then call into the library to announce when they win. And students are currently writing essays on some famous Black history Americans. And so we also, on February 19th, have Kute Toure from Sierra Leone coming to do an assembly with each grade level, a special drumming performance starting on Friday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll have each grade level come in and be separated in the gym. So we're looking forward to having him come and share that experience with us, as well as learn about some of that culture. February 18th, Kona Ice is going to be at the school, so even if you're a community member, you can come in and that supports the school. And then on February the 26th, we'll have our monthly pep rally and our Student of the Month celebration. So just a lot of good things happening at the elementary school. But without further ado, I would like to honor our student, and her name is Lorraine Taylor. Lorraine Taylor is a very conscientious student. She exhibits true champ characteristics. She is always cooperative with all students. That is from Miss McCampbell. And then Miss Ruark says, Lorraine is a very hard-working student that always strives to do her best. She has a passion for learning and exceeds the expectations on her assignments. She always shows compassion for others and is a great friend to her classmates. And then Miss McGowan, her homeroom teacher. She is a sweet girl and always exemplifies cooperation, honesty, accountability, motivation, and being prepared in the classroom. She is very caring and concerned about others in the class. She's a nurturer. She has an eagle eye for anyone who needs help or attention. She does not mind lending a hand to anyone who needs it. She's a hard worker, she stays on task, and she takes the initiative to go above and beyond what is expected. And then Ms. Raines, the music teacher, also had something to say about Lorraine. Lorraine is a hard-working and dependable student both in the music classroom and virtually. She is very respectful and a great role model for her peers. She is a true champ. So congratulations, Lorraine, if you'll come forward and get your certificate.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll ask Ms. Alderman.
Good evening, everyone. We're doing great things at the middle school. I'm so proud of our students. They are engaging in activities for Black History Month. They are working on creating the doors for Black History Month. There's a competition Each day they are participating in Black History trivia and hearing quotes every day. They are very excited about that. And we are wrestling state champions at the middle school. And to talk about our great wrestlers and the academics that's going on at the school, it is with great pride and pleasure that I honor this evening Mr. Dylan Evans, one of our great wrestlers here at the middle school. He is the epitome of the perfect student. He is dedicated, confident, goal-oriented young man. He sets his eyes on the prize and works diligently until he reaches his goal, both in the classroom and on the wrestling mat. He serves as the captain of the Social Circle Middle School wrestling team, representing the 170-pound weight class with a perfect regular season record of 16-0 matches. Dylan is a true leader and refuses to engage in immature or irresponsible actions, even when pressured by his peers. He often denounces any unkind words or gestures when he witnesses them directed by or towards his peers. In class, Dylan sets the bar high, following our power standards of excellence as he meets our expectations daily. Dylan sets an example for all his classmates. His outgoing, friendly personality serves him well amongst his peers, teachers, and even strangers. Dylan is willing to work with anyone and is a friend to all. His kind demeanor helps him become a leader in any situation he encounters. An important key to a great leader is compassion for others. Dylan cares for his peers and the community around him. You'll often see Dylan helping other students in class with coursework or helping a wrestler in our youth program learn to put his headgear on correctly. He is the heartbeat of the wrestling team, always positive, motivating our other wrestlers to practice hard daily, to maintain our title of state champions. He even motivates his twin brother as they motivate each other to lead the middle school team. His desire to learn and the question he poses enrich the learning environment. He contributes to the classroom, creating a collaborative experience between the teacher and fellow students. We look forward to seeing what Dylan sets his sights on next. He is the perfect example of a social circle great student, and we are honored to celebrate him tonight. Please help me congratulate Mr. Dylan Evans.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anjali. At this time, we'll hear from Mr. Oliver from the high school.
Good evening. Armstrong, that's all right. Marie, you want to do this one too? You know about it. Listen, just like the success you heard about with our fall sports, that success has continued in our winter sports. The wrestling team finished up late last night at Macon with fourth place in the state, in both the third place in the duels and fourth in the traditional. Our comp tier team will compete Monday morning in Macon for the state championship, and our basketball team will begin the region tournament next week. The girls will play on Tuesday and the boys will play on Thursday. Academically, we had 2 students or finalists this year in the Governor's Honors Program. They will go through the interview process late this month for that. We had 2 Best Bridge finalists in our graduating class, and then very soon we'll be naming our honor graduates. We're in the middle of our registration process. And in the month of February, we've also been celebrating Black History Month in the high school. In fact, what we've asked our teachers to do is to talk about famous Black Americans in their specific content area. In our U.S. history class, we've been focusing on many local people who are part of the civil rights movement. In fact, Mr. Maddox is going to come in and speak to our U.S. history class at the last month. He came in person last year. This year he's going to come in Zoom, but we're working with him to come in and speak and let our children hear about the history, the rich history around here. So it's also my privilege to introduce you to a wonderful young man that you met earlier. I'm going to read a few comments from his teachers. The first one's actually from his coach. He said he did a tremendous job leading our football team during the season. He stepped up his work ethic and his attention to detail the second half of the football season, and he set an example amongst his teammates and held them accountable for their own effort. I could not be more proud of his display of leadership. His Spanish teacher said he's always sweet and smiling. He's very smart and keeps up with his work, even during all his many sports seasons. His science teacher said he's one of the most respected students in our school, very polite and well-mannered. One of his teachers from last year said, "I've so much enjoyed teaching this young man. He's very motivated, enthusiastic, and that enthusiasm is contagious. I know he will be a great asset to any school or program he decides to participate in, and he will, when he works up to his amazing potential." His soccer coach said, no matter what circumstances are, he always keeps a cool head. He doesn't let anything rattle his chain. He's a tremendous leader for us. His math teacher said, he's one of the most positive attitudes I've had in 20 years. Extremely mature, respectful, motivated, and accountable. In fact, this young man came in as a natural leader, was a leader the first day he walked in our building. But while he's extremely talented in football and soccer, what sets him apart is his work ethic and his integrity. And I'm very proud to introduce to you our student of the month, Mr. Eric Taylor.
Again, thank you. Good luck, Eric, with the game tonight. Mr. Chairman, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter. All right, before we get to the finance section, I wanted to give you a little teaser. We're going to take a little break here for about 3 minutes, but just know there's some exciting news about Zone 5 after the break if you want to stay. But you're welcome to leave. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Can you hear me? We'll continue the meeting next with the finance section. I'll ask our CFO, Mrs. Nicole Cross, to come up to the podium and present finance.
Good evening. Tonight presented is the December 2020 financial report, beginning with the general fund. With 50% of the fiscal year complete, we have received 40% of the general fund budgeted revenues, and we've spent 50% of the general fund budgeted expenditures. If you keep in mind, we have several expenses due annually in July, including annual insurance premiums, so that is why we're about 87% in the other support services category. Currently, expenditures exceed revenues by a little over $2.5 million. Our local property taxes are beginning to be remitted by the city, with a total due from taxpayers in December, and we received this from the city in January. So this negative number will be there until that time. We did receive the January check for property tax collections, and it was a little over $2.3 million. Next are the special revenue funds. Listed are all the federal and state awards. The total award for 2021 is a little over $1.4 million. This does include CARES funding, the initial of $180,645. We did receive notice of our second round of CARES funding, and this totals $732,314. We are currently working on the budget for how we will utilize those funds. We are planning to first reduce the number of furlough days that were given in the current year. We're looking at reducing from 5 to 3. We are going to use this money to help offset the $1 million deficit in our fund balance that we use to help balance the budget. And then we're also going to have this to help balance our fiscal year 22 budget. The state has said that they are implementing an austerity cut in the current year of about 4%. Next is the school food service fund. Revenues collected total 43% of the budgeted revenues, and expenditures represent 46% of budgeted expenditures. Currently, expenditures exceed revenues by about $2,000. We are still operating under the summer seamless option, which means the USDA provides free meals for all students. When we are virtual, we do set up times to allow families to come and pick up breakfast and lunch. We serve about an average of 100 meals during those virtual days. So there is a significant decrease. Next, we have our SPLOST fund. SPLOST collections received in December totaled $139,000 from Walton County and $2,000 from Newton County. This equates to about a 7% increase from the prior year for Walton and about a 19% increase for Newton. The SPLOST fund has received 52% of budgeted revenues and 58% of budgeted expenditures. The current cash balance in our SPLOST fund is currently a little over $3 million. Lastly, we have our quarterly school funds update. School activity revenue totals a little over $262,000 and expenditures total about $232,000. The cash balance in all school activity funds is $321,000. Just a quick update on the state's amended 2021 budget and the 2022 budget. Today, the House and Senate passed both the final version of the amended 2021 budget. So it is now on the governor's desk for approval. In this amended budget, we do anticipate restoration of about 60% of the austerity cut. So for our district, that's going to be about $600,000. We should get the final numbers from the state within the next week or so. Next, the focus will be on the 2022 budget. As I mentioned, they're currently estimating a 4% cut to the QBE funding formula for next year. We do have an increase in our FTE count. We'll hopefully offset some of those cuts for next year. And we'll keep you updated as it moves through the House and Senate. Are there any questions on the financial report?
Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the financial report for December 2020 as presented?
So moved.
Have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Next, we have the Freshway Training for Schools program updates. In December, we collected $2,774.20. This went to the Student Success Alliance. This brings our total collections to a little over $92,000.
Thank you, Mrs. Cross. Next item on the agenda is Superintendent's report. Dr. Hooker.
Thank you. Again, Ms. Cross, thank you for your efficiency in giving us updates on legislative topics for refunding austerity. All right, just want to review with you our current enrollment. As you look at the number of students that we have face-to-face, a total of 1,521 students. Our virtual students, a total of 341. And we're looking at a total of 1,862 students in our district. Do we have any questions concerning our student count? If there are no questions in our student count, I have a few announcements that I'd like to share with you. Just want to reiterate that we are celebrating Black History Month this month, and the activities that our schools have for our students will be very enriching, and hope that it will be supported throughout our community. The other update, I wanted to give you an update on our vaccine rollout. We are working with our nurse, Ms. Joyce Derringer, as well as with Dr. Andrea Hill, a local pediatrician, to administer the 1B vaccine once it becomes available for teachers. Currently we have 110 employees who are willing to take the vaccine. I will keep you informed as we gather more information about the rollout of 1B vaccine. And the last thing I want to share with you as a governance team, again, thank you. As a unit, we will continue to model for our community and grow into becoming a high-performance governance team. Your decisions are always made in what is in the best interest of our students. Thank you for your work that you do. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Hooker. We appreciate you as well. All right, new business action items. First, we have a high school overnight trip for, let's see what it's for here. Cheer. So the field trip is for cheer. The meet is February 14th through the 15th. You can see the document there. It's for the high school cheer team. I have a motion to accept the recommendation for our superintendent to approve this field trip. Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next is a board policy, and I recently took board chair training, and part of that training was updates on the law that will take place July 1st of this year. And one of them that Mr. Hartley, the lawyer, focused on was public participation in board meetings. And so I believe we're just going to look at this tonight and let it sit for 30 days and then vote on the policy next month. So the biggest change is that you're required you can only give a 24-hour or less notice to someone if they want to speak. In the past, we had people that had to fill out the form before Monday of the Thursday meeting, so they really had to give us at least 72 hours notice. But now they're only required to give us 24-hour notice. So our policy will be required by law to include that part of it. The other parts that we're considering doing and thinking about that we'll vote on next month would be limiting the time per participant to 3 minutes, limiting the number of participants to 10. So therefore, only 30 minutes of any one board meeting would ever be taken up by public participation. And that would still give the public adequate opportunity to speak. So nothing to vote or take action on tonight. I just wanted to bring that up. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Dr. Hooker? Okay. Next, we have a Zone 5 update, and I'll turn that one over to you, Dr. Hooker.
I am pleased tonight to share with you that on Tuesday night, the Walton County Board of Education signed the Zone 5 agreement. And they signed the agreement, and we were able to meet our deadline of June 2021 of getting this document signed, so at the end of the meeting today, Myself and Mr. Callahan will sign this document and return it back to Walton County. So I'm excited about this opportunity to continue to service those students who are in Zone 5.
All right, and I think we should probably take an action here to allow the members to approve us signing that. You're correct. The superintendent recommends that you allow he and I to sign the Zone 5 agreement tonight. I have a motion to do so. I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, next on the agenda we have executive session, and tonight we're going to executive session strictly for personnel reasons. And I have a motion to exit regular session and enter executive session for personnel. Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, I have a motion to exit executive session and bring in a regular session. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll get to the main personnel recommendations from our superintendent. And we'll start with classified resignation Anna Bratcher after-school program. We'll also take the recommendations for classified staff hirings from our superintendent at the same time, which are Princess Williams, Substitute Food Nutrition Program, David Bryan, Transportation, and Carrie Willis, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent. And I will note on the last one especially, that is her title. That's not her job description. She does a lot more than that. And we appreciate that. Do I have a motion to accept these recommendations from our superintendent? Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now my favorite day of the year. This is recommendations for continuing employment for school year 2021-22, so the upcoming school year. And you'll see a large slate of names. I'm not going to read them all. But one of the things that you're required to do is if you're related to someone, you have to abstain from voting for them. So I've got everyone somebody's related to, we're going to vote on them individually, and then we'll go to the slates. So we're going to start with those. And so, first of all, for primary school and elementary school, Landis Copeland for continued employment, I have a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those abstain? Okay. Motion carries 4-0 with one abstain. That would be Sabrina. All right. The next one is also primary school, and I'm not sure I pronounce her first name, but it starts with a Q. The last name is Barr. I have a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those abstain? Motion carries with 4-0 with one abstain, Sabrina. Next we have for both the primary school and elementary school, Grace Sanford. I have a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say aye. All those abstaining? So that motion carries 4-0 with one abstention, Sabrina. And then we have Jessica Hester from middle school and high school. I have a motion to accept this recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Any abstention? I That motion carries 4-0 with one abstention, and that being Sabrina. And then we have one more, and that would be Carla Griffey. I have a motion to accept Carla Griffey's recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstaining? So that carries 4-0 with Rico abstaining. So that's that slate. Next, we're going to go with, starting from the top. Again, this is recommendation from our superintendent for continued employment for certified positions for 2021-22 school year. We're going to go to the primary school. Everybody on that list whose name has not been yet called. Do I have a motion to accept that recommendation from our superintendent? Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we move to elementary school. Same thing. Do I have a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation for continued employment for all the people on this elementary school list, other than those that may have been named up to this point? Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Same thing, middle school. I have a motion to accept all the names on this list, other than any that we may have approved previously. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Then we move to the high school. Same thing. Continued employment for next school year for this slate of people, other than anyone we may have named and voted on just prior to this. I have a motion to accept that recommendation from our superintendent. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we're going to the administration. You see the slate, including principals and assistant superintendents, etc. And I believe none of these have been named previously. So do I have a motion to approve all the administration as recommended by our superintendent? Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Excuse me. Thank you. Now we're going to classified staff at Parkland Primary School. And you see the slate in front of you. Again, this is a recommendation from our superintendent to continue employment for that slate of people unless we've previously voted for them. Do I have a motion to accept this slate? Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Same thing for the elementary school. I have a motion to approve all those recommended by our superintendent, other than anyone we just approved previously. I have a second.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Same thing with middle school. I have a motion to accept all the ones that we have not approved up to this point on that list. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next we go to high school. See the list. Same thing. All those that we haven't yet approved. Have a motion to approve the rest on that list. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next we move to central office staff. And I don't believe any of these have been approved previously, so do I have a motion to accept all these recommendations for next school year from our superintendent for central office. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move to transportation, and I don't believe any of these have been voted on up to this point, so do I have a motion to accept all the recommendations for transportation from our superintendent? Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. And that covers us, I believe. Did I miss anything? Right. Well, thanks everyone for coming, and do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please say aye. Motion carries, so meeting is adjourned.